All right, let's talk climate change now. The South African Youth Economic Council will be debating soon how the COP26 deal will affect our country's economic goals. On Thursday, it will host an inaugural gala dinner together with Wits University and the Minister of Mineral Resources, Gwede Mantashe. To discuss, we're joined by the founder and executive chair of the SA Youth Economic Council, that is Bonga Makhanya. Thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Makhanya. What is the mandate, firstly, of the SA Youth Economic Council, and how does that affect your interest in climate change, climate justice, and how it affects us in South Africa?
Thank you so much for having me and having us. So with regards to how this all fit, our mandate basically in summary is to call for the inclusion and participation of young people in the mainstream economy. We were born as a result of the material conditions that we find ourselves in, which is high levels of youth unemployment, poverty and inequality that mostly affects young people who are always on the outskirts. So with regards to the just transition and how it fits into our agenda, energy in this country is a critical issue when you're having conversations around the economy. You can't have an economy without a stable energy grid. So we are concerned about the energy crisis, and any transition that is to take place, we'd like to see where do young people feature and how would they participate in such a transition, and would such a transition compromise the current levels of jobs and economic growth in the energy sector. And if it does, then it's a cause for concern because, again, people who are mostly affected by potential job losses and decline in economic growth in the sector will unfortunately be young people. So we want to bring the minister, the business leaders, the academics, the professionals, even the National Youth Development Agency to sit down together and say, in this transition to green energy, where do young people feature? What are the concerns of the energy sector, and how best can we participate as young people?
And do you have any ideas up front about how young people should feature?
So for one, we've made a call to say that we do want a quota in terms of the demographics of the labor in the energy sector. We will call for 40% inclusion of 40% blanket quota in terms of representation of young people. With regards to current companies, we would like to see more young people in executive positions, and we do want a blanket 40% representation at an executive level of people that are under the age of 35, as well as many other initiatives that will come out from the nights from ordinary young people who may be already in the sector and they want to participate and want to play more of a meaningful role. They'll give us ideas as well, and they'll give us suggestions. We don't have a monopoly of wisdom as a council, and we take our views from the ground. We take them from young people, but it's mainly just the inclusion of them, and amongst many other policy directions which we hope to influence.
So is a quota of 40% sustainable at all? So you're saying that people under the age of 35 should be executives in the big energy companies. So correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about the big mines, the ESCOMs. So you need huge experience. I don't know what the average age is, but is it sustainable to say that 40% should be under the age of 35?
Yeah, so, in this country, we have a crisis of people not trusting young people with responsibility, especially at an executive level. Meanwhile, young people have shown themselves to be the ones who are leaders of thought and leaders of innovation. And currently, you do have young professionals in the mining sector who are in their early 30s, late 20s, with vast experience, vast skills. They have their PhDs. I can think of one off the top of my head. There's a Dr. Sianda Mngadi, who just recently graduated from Wits University with his PhD, who's been in the mining sector for years now, is also under the age of 35. So we have an abundance of young people who have critical skills, who have the experience, and they just need an opportunity to be placed at the highest level and for them to be strategic decision makers. Because there's really nothing special about 60 or 50-year-olds in terms of critical decision making. The experience that young people have, they are the ones who enthuse the innovation and enthuse some of the progressive ideas. And especially if you look at a global level, the direction that most companies are taking. The innovation is coming from, the younger people in their workforce, and not people who are still stuck on 1960 ideas of how to drive economies and how to drive companies. So I do think that we don't have a shortage of skills as young people, and I have full confidence that, with institutions like Wits University, UJ, UCT, many other great institutions, they can give us young people with the necessary skills and with their PhDs who are researchers and also have experience, So I don't doubt that at all. I do think there's quite an abundance of skills.
For people who haven't been following closely, can you finally just outline the debate around a just transition? So in South Africa, of course, the issue is that we're so heavily reliant on coal. And some are saying we need to get rid of those coal-fired power stations, very quickly move to green energy. Others say, but we will be prejudiced. We need time to do that. We need to do this cheaply. And what about the people in the coal industry and all the jobs affected? Is that a fair outline of the issue that we are affected by?
Definitely. And I think it's a bit disingenuous from especially more developed countries in the West when they want to push Africa and South Africa to move towards a green economy, when they themselves are ramping up non-renewable energy and they are ramping up their oil and gas industries and even going as far as declaring something like gas as a green energy so that they can continue using non-renewable energy, whilst developing nations are being pushed into a corner to try out the technology and try to move to a green energy, which has a sustainable plan. The problem with the just transition in its current format is that there's no clear plan as to how, if there will be job losses in the sector, in the mining sector. Let's say, for example, there will be 20,000 job losses as a result of us moving to green energy because of the climate change issues. Government doesn't have a clear plan as to where those 20,000 people are going to be replaced or redirected. And the owners of the means of production, where are their factors of production going to go? So for as long as there's no clear plan, and currently with the economies of scale, the way we look at it, the green side of energy is actually way more expensive for Eskom. So for a country that's embattled with fiscal challenges, as well as social challenges, you can't move to a greener economy without really scientific reason and economic reason that's rooted in truth and thorough analysis. Yes, and currently as it stands, there's no clear plan as to if there would be job losses, which there's quite a lot of experts predicting a huge.
All right, sorry to cut you off there, but I think you've outlined that whole debate beautifully. Thank you very much, Founder and Executive Chair of the SA Youth Economic Council, Bonga Makhanya.